Welcome back to Exposing Human Trafficking. I know you guys have asked me about MK Ultra and SRA, and I really don't understand too much about it, but I can tell you some things, and maybe you guys know more than I do. I know that my older stepbrother, George Bermudez Jr., was up in Alaska in a secret military experiment. He wasn't allowed to talk about it. I saw his dog tags. He showed them to me. Why? I don't know. Um, but there's something in Satanism that involves sexual abuse of children. The younger, the better. Because they believe that it'll turn you into a witch. They usually try to do it before the age of 5. The dirty Mexican illegal named Jesus Rodriguez that lived across the street that my stepfather, George Bermudez Sr., would traffic me to for $20, that gave me chlamydia, showed up at our house in, I want to say, the late 90s with his 2 little daughters that were about 3 and 5, looking for my stepfather because he wanted to turn his daughters into witches. My stepfather also used to play witch with a little girl in his classroom at lunchtime, and he was trafficking her too. I saw pictures of her naked in Polaroids, and he threatened me not to tell anybody. This game called Witch, what I've learned from my therapy is actually even more abuse to a child. The Satanists believe that taking the innocence of a child and exposing them to sex will bring demons into them. They're so stupid. And that these demons will possess them, and that'll make them powerful to do spells. They're just retarded. And they have to be really dumb. And as I look at my biological father and my stepfather, I see that, yeah, there's a big ignorance factor in play, because these people are generational Satanists. And this comes down the family line. These people were uneducated. My stepfather's mother, she couldn't even write. She was illiterate. She knew about farming, and she did witchcraft, black magic. And I'm not saying that all witches are bad. There are good witches. But she wasn't a good witch. My biological father, his line also came from people like this. He had an ancestor that was African and practiced some sort of witchcraft. And he was brought to the Caribbean, to Puerto Rico, when slavery was going on. And his owner killed him for doing magic. These people are very, very ignorant. I know that Brad came from very humble beginnings. His father was a truck driver. You know, I always refer to Brad Pitt as the glorified hillbilly because he's a hillbilly. I knew him as a hillbilly. He acted like a hillbilly. He never acted like this sophisticated man that you see in these pictures, modeling and selling products. He was very dumb, very superstitious, very ignorant to a lot of things. Um, my stepfather had a cousin that was very beautiful. I don't want to say her name because I do believe she was a victim of what I was going through too. And very beautiful woman. She would get pregnant and then she would end up losing the baby. It was usually sometime in her early second trimester rather. She had mental issues. She was referred to as the crazy one. But my stepfather said that she was a powerful witch. Now, what I've learned that happens from my therapist is that when a child is very young and they have no one that they feel safe around as an adult, they don't have protection, and there's ongoing abuse. While they're still trying to form their personality, if there's constant trauma going on and no help, they come down with what is called multiple personality disorder. It's now referred to as dissociative identity disorder. I know a lot of the children that were in the coven that were victimized have it. Unfortunately, I have it too. It's kind of hard to explain it, but what happens is something is going on so bad that you cannot handle it. I know there's astral projection that goes on. Sometimes it's parts of you that breaks off. Sometimes it's part of you that's born, a new part of you. And sometimes there are spirits that come in. I was lucky because whatever spirits came in were good. There's periods of amnesia where you black out because another part of you is dealing with it and living through it. Because if you had to deal with it, you'd fall apart. And my first and my third nervous breakdown were a result of this. When Brad came back to Taos, Brad Pitt, on August 7th, 2018, and he used the hypnosis, he undid the integration that the doctors had done on me. It took years for that integration to happen. And the doctors had to put me back the way was the best for me to live a productive life. Since Brad did not know what he was doing because he's not a mental health professional nor a doctor, the integration started to unravel. Like when you take a sweater and you cut it with a scissor and then the threads start falling apart. It was really hard because I was losing time and I couldn't understand. I don't drink and I don't take drugs. And I figured out what was happening. There were people that knew me by different names that I didn't know. It was getting hard to do the things that I normally did, like just keeping my house clean, paying my bills, because of the psychological trauma that had been inflicted on me one more time. I'm going to put a link below to an interview that Brad Pitt did with Christian Amanpour, and I'll put down the timestamp where Brad talks about that we go through things and some people come through it and some people put it away. The way that I found out about the personalities was what I couldn't deal with went into a box in my mind somewhere. Kind of like the way you have a junk drawer and you just throw stuff in there. I really don't understand it. When the doctors integrated me in Tampa, Florida, they did workshops about my case because this was back in the early 90s and there was a lot of satanic ritual abuse that had gone on in the late 80s, early 90s. And a lot of doctors were having to deal with patients like myself. The doctor I'm working with now is also doing research because they're learning more and more every day. My brain is wired differently because of the trauma. When they did an EKG, they found that my trauma was being housed in different parts of my brain that we don't normally use. And the different personalities lived in different parts of my brain. I have from very small baby all the way up to a senior citizen. In therapy, we found about 50 people. I have the ability to speak languages I never studied. I know things I never studied through those different personalities. My therapist is starting to believe that spirits did come inside of me to help, while other pieces of me broke off and other pieces had to be created to live through life. I know it's very confusing. I sometimes can't even wrap my own head around this all. Because my abuse started so young at the age of 3, I didn't get a chance to get a core personality. I've had a few hostesses that lived life, and then after integration and everything was working smoothly, I could operate. When Brad undid the integration in 2018, it got hard to function. It's like if you have a computer and someone put a virus in it, and now your computer is running on safe mode. I don't expect everyone to understand this. I don't know if this is what MK Ultra is. All I know is what I've experienced. I don't know about my mother's side of the family. She doesn't talk much about this stuff. And she's studied psychology in college, but she doesn't want to talk about it. But I know that there was physical and sexual abuse on her side of the family too. So maybe the ignorance of Satanism and child abuse cause mental illnesses in children, and maybe the MK Ultra project was an experiment to see if it really did happen and how they could manipulate it. I don't know. So I'll put that link below in the description box where Brad Pitt is talking about that at Astrofilm. It's kind of ironic because in the movie his wife's name is Eve, and that's the nickname he used to call me by. He shortened my name to Eve. These people know what they're doing as far as trying to cause harm, but I don't think they understand the full psychology behind it. And I need for this to get out there because I know that there were lots of children when I was taken to these rituals as a child myself. And I bet you a good number of them also have multiple personality disorder. So comment below. Thanks for your support. I hope I don't scare anybody. I'll also post some other links because Brad has always been fascinated with multiple personality disorder. He made the movie Fight Club, and then there's another link to a photo shoot that he did where he's showing multiple personalities. After he did that shoot, he showed up at my place in Blanca, another place I was renting after my house was destroyed. Of course, he wanted to do the ritual again, and I got rid of him, but he had told me he had done that photo shoot about multiple personality disorder. Give it a thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't. Click that notification bell. And please share this with others so that there'll be not one more victim of human trafficking. And maybe not one more child whose life is destroyed by these sick people because we know they love to target little children. Thank you.